I'm Tim Ellis. Thanks for joining us for Laneway Live. Tonight's guest is going to tell us what it was like growing up learning magic behind the Iron Curtain.
Спрашивают, играю ли я в наперстке. Да, играю, только они у меня немного увеличены. У меня 3 наперстка и 3 шарика. Но обычно используют игроки один шарик.
Тут 3, да?
3, да. Обычно используют 1 шарик, а у меня 3, чтобы вам было легче угадать. И наперстка. И ничего нету. А здесь?
Ну, теперь я уже не знаю.
Уже ничего нету. А тогда по средним сколько?
3.
Правильно, совершенно верно. Все 3.
Кать, вот когда будешь сдавать экзамены, билеты тянуть, вот он пригодится тебе это дело, а?
В школе, да?
Да,
В школе,
конечно.
да, или в институте.
Прекрасный, по-моему, фокус. Вот мы сидели рядом, и я не видела, да, я не видела тех
Не видно,
манипуляций.
чтобы она куда-то там
Это, наверное,
положила.
уже мастерство. Вот в доказательство этого я хотела показать медали Кати и Олега, которые...
Please welcome from Moscow, Kate Medvedeva.
Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. As you can see, I will show you a magic trick. So, I will be spreading cards like this, and Tim, please tell me stop.
Stop now.
Tell me stop. This card, this one, next. Which one?
The middle one.
I can move this one
Yes.
or this one.
No.
This one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so it's very difficult. So you have to remember the card. Now I will turn it on and it will spin. Oh, I'm sorry. It is. Your card. And I'm sorry. All the cards, the joker disappeared. Look. You see, it is very difficult to show tricks on the camera. And when you asked me to do something live, it was quite difficult. I ran through all the tricks I do, and I realized I feel naked in front of the camera because I got used to do some misdirections, then I do my secret moves. And this time I couldn't do anything because I didn't have spectator. I couldn't do anything to misdirect people, and was like you in front of the camera. So it's such a strange, very strange feeling.
It is a very strange environment working in front of the camera. It's like the unblinking eye.
Yes, this is true. And especially I didn't have much time to rehearse. And because of all these wires, was like, just like you're inside, you feel like you're trapped in a very small place, and you just have to show all these things like this. Because usually I got used to, I have wide movements with my hands and with my body and everything. But this time everything is so small, like in front of the camera. So such a strange feeling, very strange.
And at the moment, of course, you are confined in an apartment or a house. Where are you?
Yes, in Moscow, of course, like in New York, most of us live in apartments, so I'm at home. So locked down for a month, and it is quite difficult to be all the time at home.
It's like you're saying you're trying to perform in this tiny box, and now you're trying to live in a tiny box as well.
Yes, this is true. Because in Moscow, like in New York City, the apartments are quite small, most of them.
Now, for people who are tuning into these little episodes that I'm producing, a lot of them would not have heard of you, and a lot of them probably don't even know any Russian magicians.
Probably they should know some, like Vladimir Danilin, or Ivan Nechperenko, or like Kio, the previous century. And there are several more names probably that might come to your mind, or from the young generation, like Kristal, a female magician with a quick change act. Or maybe some other Russian magicians. I mean, Russian magicians, because they're from the Soviet Union. And this is like Eugene Voronin, Galina, then Voitko, Vlad Kryvonogov, and some other names.
There's quite a few. I'm going to have all those names down the bottom in the links. So if people
actually, now they're like from Belarus or Ukraine or some other countries. But because I was born in the Soviet Union, me, we're just from one country. And for most of the people who were like Russians.
What was it like trying to learn magic in the Soviet Union when it was all closed off from the rest of the world?
Actually, because of the Iron Curtain, we were locked away from all the information in the world. And it was like, we didn't have BTRs, or we didn't have special TVs. So it was like one person had a TV, another one had VTR, the third one had the tape from the United States, and was not like the policy com system. It was like in DC system. So it means not all the TVs you could use. And then another person with a big apartment of food. So it was like 10 people who were gathering together and just watching one tape. And usually that wasn't like a seminar or a lecture. It was like, for example, the best of magic was something like this. And with the remote control in a slow motion, you were trying to guess how the trick is done. Or, for example, once I was given as a present a bunch of magazines, and there were lots of advertising. And you know, the advertising, how it works. It is like lots, and these days there were lots of pictures, and of course, what they promised that would happen, not really exactly how the trick is done and how it would look like at the end when you learn it. So imagine your imagination is blowing up. You have to think how, probably imagine how this trick could be done. And you're thinking, and you come up with new decisions. So that is why probably in the Soviet Union, our magic was more creative than now, because now we're a little bit lazy. Because these days you can watch Michael Amar seminars, or just like Darrell, or you can go to the cards table or the magic table, or you can, whatever, internet, YouTube, or on Penguin's Magic, whatever. All the information of the world, Murphy's Magic, you can buy any prop you want. In my childhood, everything, imagine, I was starting like a manipulator, and of course, billiard ball manipulations, and that were wooden billiard balls covered with just wooden balls, and they were they were so slippery, because if your hands are not warm enough, you wouldn't be able to hold them. If your hands are too wet, they were slipping away because the hands are too wet. So it is always just a disaster. Just like you have to be in a perfect condition just to be able to show just manipulations with billiard balls. It was so strange. These days, rubber balls. Do anything you want. This way, this way. Anyway.
Those young kids have got it too easy nowadays, haven't they?
Yes. This is true. Too many videotapes, too rubber balls. Just what a great life. By the way, it was very funny because in the Soviet Union, stage magic was very popular, of course, because usually we performed on stages, and I started as a stage magician as well. But close-up magic, it was like, of course, we could do some little tiny things, but the quality of cards was so poor, so you couldn't do almost anything with them. And our knowledge about cards magic and our knowledge about close-up magic was very, very poor. So when Michael Amor came to Russia in 1990 and he showed his close-up magic, it was like people from Mars were coming to us, showing close-up magic. It was like from the different planet. It was like from different universe, and it just changed our brains, changed everything. Since then, close-up became quite a different thing in Russia. So
now, you started doing stage magic. I think we've got a clip of you on TV when you were about 14 or something.
Actually, I started doing magic since I have been doing magic since I was 7, and professionally since I was 10. My brother and I, you see, in the Soviet Union, there was a tradition when the leaders of the Communist Party had something like a meeting or whatever. Afterwards, they had a concert, big concert, and there was a tradition. Young children had to perform there. And by the time when we started doing magic, probably they were so tired of singers and dancers. So we were like performing almost at every concert, government concerts at that time, like Michael Jackson. For example, like when we had winter holidays at school, it is like it is like 2 weeks holidays. We had 100 shows for these 2 weeks. During these 2 weeks. So that is why when I'm saying that we were professional magicians who were kids, I mean it. This is just like it was.
Well, let's take a little.
Actually, these days, I don't have that much work as I had when I was a child. but the system was quite different these days and our days.
Well, let's take a little look at a clip of you performing with your brother on TV. So you were saying you were 10 and 11 in that clip?
I was 11, I think, and my brother was 10, I think.
And then it wasn't that much later that you started doing close-up and you did your first Cups and Balls act on TV.
I have to be very grateful to 2 people for Cups and Balls. First of all, to Bill Andrews. He was the president of the I think IBM, American Brotherhood of Magician, or maybe Sam. I can be mistaken. I'm sorry, but my brother became the winner of the competition in Puerto Rico. So he was invited to perform next year, and we were paid the flight and the hotel. So something went wrong with visas, and we were late. So Bill Andrews just was very kind of him to invite to his home and to invite all other magicians and to take us to New York. And we went to this magic shop in one of this Empire State Building, I think. There was Tenants Magic. And just before that, we met Stanley Burns. And just to give us some entertainment, he put some magic videotapes. And I saw Cups and Balls. So when we came to the shop and they asked us, pick any trick you want. And I didn't know what to choose, but just like half of an hour ago, I was saying this trick with cups and balls. So I said, okay, these cups and these balls. And then I was trying from the very first second just to try these moves. And so if that were not Bill Andrews, who invited us to stay at his home and who gave me that present, the cups and balls, I would never do that. Never do this trick.
And were you one of the first people in Russia to do the cups and balls?
Maybe it's very hard to say because you see, this is a very popular gambler game for the gamblers.
Yes.
And for these people on the streets. So people who were very close to this prison circles and criminal circles.
Yes.
Of course, they knew about cups and balls, but they were never showing this as a trick. It was more shown like a way you can win some money, as you know. I think that is a traditional thing anywhere in the world. And so that is why it is very hard to say if I were the first, but probably I was the first one who had real copper cups and cups from the real magic shop. This is for sure.
Now, the routine that you did was a classical routine, but then years later you entered FISM with a slightly different routine.
Well, this is true. My learning, you see, still we didn't have much information about cups and balls. So it was like I watched Johnny S. Palmer with his brilliant routine with the chickens, and then Paul Kettner. So I liked these two routines so much. So my first routine was like, I took half of the moves from one routine and another half from another one. And I just put them together. And that was my first combination with cups and balls. But later, I wanted to do something of my own. And I heard that Tapas did manipulations with bells. And then he made the appearance of this huge guitar. And I thought, oh, that probably could be a very good idea for cups and balls because no one did with bells. And my first routine I did in 1990. So probably, and still the huge experience. I have a teacher with whom we became the winners at the Ron Macmillan's, Vasily Rudenko. He became the first prize winner. I became the second one. And he was my teacher. And once, of course, I started with the very, very tiny bells like this, like silver ones. And then he came once to my home, then twice, and he saw me just trying with this little bell. And then he suddenly brought the bells like this, and he said, try with these ones. I said, no. My hand is so small. These bells are so big and huge. It's impossible. He said, you're talented. You can do this. That's all. And he left me with these bells. So I had nothing to do but to create something of my own with these big bells.
С этим номером Екатерина Медведева вошла в 20-ку лучших фокусников мира.
And later on, you end up with the monuments from other cities.
Actually, this is St. Basil's Cathedral and the towers of Kremlin. Everything is in Moscow. And then this little cannon. And in my latest version is shooting. And then I have a bear, and I have the snow and everything. You see, I was the stage magician. You see, close-up magic is always so small for me. I always try just like to be something big. And my production is always like even when I do small tricks like rubber bands, like when you borrow a ring and a rubber band and then they link together.
Yeah.
For this trick especially, I bring like a saw like this, because when I'm telling the spectator that the only thing that we can do is to just like do this with the ring, they said, okay, do this. And then I take out a big saw like this. And of course, my close-up, I mean, I go for the close-up performance with a little suitcase. This is not like a pack of cards here, just you have your pad, and you're just ready for the show. It's just like huge, lots of stuff, just doing just a few minutes performance.
So do you mainly just do close-up now, or do you still do stage shows as well?
Actually, a few years ago, because you see, because I was trained, because I'm a professional actress, and I was always trained that like you have to prepare, you have to concentrate. Stanislavski, Chekhov, you have to bring your consciousness, just put together all your energy and then bring it to the people. When you do close-up magic, it is like every single performer you're approaching, it is like very emotional performance, like when you're giving all of you just to this little group of people. And then during 1 hour or a half of an hour, you're just moving from one table to another. And it is like 15, 20 performances during 1 hour. But when you're on stage, you just want to do one act, 5 minutes, and you're done. So, I realized that I want to come back on stage, because on stage you're paid much, they're paying you better. And you don't have to do your show like 20 times of just for the same what you could have done for 5 minutes. So I always knew that the threads are the most dangerous props in the world. So when I was staying and I was putting the thread somewhere and very high, and I was staying on this ladder, and I just fell down badly, and just for 1 month I was just lying like a mummy. It was so after that it was difficult to move as I used to do. So mostly after that I was doing even not close-up, just organizing different events and different venues. But I hope this day will come, and I will come back on stage.
So you're
maybe come at the magic.
You're currently recuperating then, so the coronavirus is giving you time to recover.
Yes, this is true. This is true. I have lots of time now, and I can do whatever I want. I thought so, but not really.
Not really. You're also very well known in Russia. You were a judge on a TV talent contest a while ago.
Oh, yeah, just some years ago. And it was quite an experience, because people sometimes think, because it was very funny. Because first, they told me, we will give you an ear, and you will play the role of a very strict and mean person. I said, okay, I can try. It is very hard with that smile, but I can try. And they said, okay, so we have the list of people who will go through the first round. And I saw some of the names of the very good magicians. But you said, but you should be very strict with them, because other two judges, they have the task to be very kind with them. So don't worry, these good magicians will come to the show. So I did what they told me. And then suddenly I realized that two other stars who were sitting with me, they were not playing the role. and they were listening to my opinion, and they said no to all these good magicians. And then I felt like a disaster. So I argued a lot with the producers. And after that, I said, no ear, no role. I will be just myself. And if I think that this is like a copy of an act, I will say this. If I don't like this, I will tell this. And just through the whole show, I thought every series, every episode will be the last one, because I thought that would kick me out from the show.
Well, the most notorious one was when you had somebody come on and do an exact replica of Piff the Magic Dragon in the full costume with a little pet and everything.
This is Mr. Piffles.
Моя свинка, мистер Пиф. $600.
Hang on, I think I'm going to sneeze. We all...
Нервы, я понимаю, ни к черту, но все-таки.
Ну, мне предупреждали, я готовилась к чему-то эротичному выступлению.
Мой вердикт будет суров. Есть очень известный фокусник, который работает в такой же манере, в таком же костюме, говорит те же самые шутки. Единственное отличие то, что у него маленькая собачка, а у вас морская свинка. И реакция зала основана только на том, что понравилась комическая часть номера, то я лично буду оценивать только фокус.
The Pit was so kind. When I was in Blackpool, he came specially just to meet me and to say thank you. Just for saying, I'm terrible with names. Usually I don't remember the names at all. You know, the professional habit when you ask a spectator to come out on stage and ask what is your name, and immediately you forget it. So I think this is something like professional illness. So it takes like, I should meet a person 1, 2, 3 times, and then I would know exactly what's the person's name. But before that, I could only say, oh, there is a famous magician from England. I could not even remember the Pit's name at that moment when I saw. But I was lucky they didn't cut it out, because...
Well, it was amazing because the other judges were, oh, he's so good, he's so funny. And then you were, nope, an exact copy of another act. And it made sort of headlines all around the magic world. So you became a hero for the magician.
Oh, thank you.
Standing up for all the magicians.
You see, in the Soviet Union, we didn't know what the copyright is, because because in the Soviet Union, the government, they were not paying the rights to the authors when the books were translated, to the movies when they were shown to the public. So we've never heard about this. So I think it will take some time just to realize that copying is like stealing. And right now, people are not thinking of this like stealing. It was like, I could do it myself. I just could copy this act without not knowing the secret. And people are so proud of themselves still. So it's a little bit of shame, but it must take a little bit time.
Slowly.
Just to overcome, slowly. As I told you before, it is like when you live in a family, when you see violence, and when you grow up and you see, for example, like a man is beating just a child or a dog, you think, oh, this is life. Just this is life. It is
When you're
like
growing.
all other people, they do live like this. This is normal. But when you know that this is not the right thing to do, and this is not the way of showing love or something like this, the same with the copywriting. Uh, People should try to live in a new world when they appreciate other people's creativity, and then with time, it takes time. It takes time. They will get used to respect other people's work, and they will pay for this.
Yes. Now I've got to also ask, because we're running out of time, unfortunately. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
how no, no, it's not your fault. How is the coronavirus being handled there in Russia? We hear there's very few cases.
It is not that bad as probably in Italy or the United States, but still, we're locked down. And for me, I was you see, we had to make this shooting like a week ago, and I was lost in time, and I forgot that it was the 8th of April, and I was preparing for the 9th of April to make this shooting. So there will be so many other things, like there will be more tricks with masks, with toilet paper, and with cards, of course, in the future. But I think this is for the best, because when it was the Soviet Union, we performed on stages. And when the Soviet Union fell apart, we had to learn close-up magic and to perform at the restaurants, just hooping the tables. These days, I think that magicians will take a huge advantage, because those who didn't know about any new technical devices or new computer techniques, so they will learn these new techniques, and they will add to their magic. And when everything will be over, our magic will become even more powerful, because probably they will be using 3D effects or computer tricks as well, which will make their magic even more powerful. Maybe we will learn some more tricks how to make it with these new techniques and new technologies. I'm sorry, English is a foreign language for me, and I didn't have practice for a while, so sometimes I forget words.
Much better than my Russian.
Thank you. So I think that this being locked down, because I thought that if I would be locked down for a month, I would have so much time. I would be reading books, I would be watching my favorite movies, whatever. But actually, everything went wrong, because I have a second education as psychologist. So all my clients suddenly started to call me every day, and it was like a nightmare, because there was like different quarrels among couples. Then suddenly people were so much afraid of the virus that they were calling me just to find out how bad it is going to be. They thought probably I'm a wizard and I can read the future. So almost all these days, from the morning till night, then all the young magicians who were, I was always giving them a chance to ask any question, or just to show me a trick, or to show an act. So it was like I was watching somebody's magic act, or counseling the people on the phone through the whole this month. It is like I had no sleep, almost no food. It is like talking all the time. So that is why probably I should turn off the phone, turn off the internet for the next week, and I will just escape, and I will enjoy the lockdown finally.
Have some private time. Read some of those books.
Yes.
Well, I hope you can get some time to yourself and time to relax. But it is great that there are people like you who are out supporting all the people who are upset and depressed and don't know how to handle it. And of course, all the young magicians as well, who are really struggling. I know a lot of the younger magicians who are at school trying to deal with the fact that they now can't go to school. They have to study online as well as learning their magic as well. So it's a challenging time for everyone.
Oh, this is true. And I'm so much amazed how you are prepared to be in these new conditions, because you're already performing online with giving the Zoom shows inside your own theater. It is so impressive. You can't imagine. Every time I'm watching you, it is like, where should I find a place to perform? And then I see you on the Facebook. I'm building my own theater. Then how people would survive these days when they don't have shows. Tim Ellis is giving his first Zoom show. It is so inspiring, and I was sharing this information with young magicians, because now when at first when they're so scared how to survive, you always give them like fresh air. What would be the next thing to do? So thank you very much for your friendship and your support and such guidance from far away from the ocean.
It's the main thing is that everybody globally, we're all in it together, and that's what I'm trying to let people know. And by speaking to you and speaking from other people from other countries, from France and Germany and from America, we can all see that no matter what country we're in, we're all in the same boat together, and we can all learn from each other and support each other, because there's nothing worse than thinking you're the only one this is happening to. You're not. We're all able, and your example of supporting all these people is fantastic too.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry we don't have more time to chat, but it has been wonderful. And the technology, just being able to chat right now from Melbourne to Moscow, is fantastic. It never ceases to amaze me what we can do at the moment. But thank you so much.
This is really amazing. And thank you very much for asking to join the show. It is quite a privilege. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.